my first request Shri N. Sivasailam, Special Secretary Logistics, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, for the keynote address. Mr. N. Sivasailam, round of applause for him.
Very good morning to you, and happy to be here at the first PESMEL Metalogic conference. I know that this is the first ever conference on logistics in the metal and mineral sector, and I realize that it is too much of importance to all of us to be ignored and put on the sidelines. And I appreciate the organizers and all of you for having thought out on this subject. And it is timely because almost everybody seems to be talking about logistics these days. And I'm also your first independent secretary for logistics. I mean, that was also a coincidental over the lab. I've just joined over 2 months ago and in this sector, and happy to be in your midst, trying to address and also understand some of the situations which you face and for which you may have solutions which could be taken forward collectively. In the process of speaking specifically on the subject, I need to give you some idea about what the logistics division is up to these days. It's a fledgling organization, possibly the last division, independent division in the government of India, which has been constituted to address logistic related issues. To put it lightly, first of all, we are also, as was mentioned by Monica and also Mrs. Das Gupta, we are addressing the issue of multimodal logistics in more than one arena. Apart from the fact that we have supported the industry suggestions in the matter of amendment of the Multimodal Logistics Act, all the amendment from which we have supported it, and it's up for a final decision at levels higher than us. We have also taken steps towards action on the ground. We are in the process of issuing an RFP for a multimodal logistics portal, which will be a single set platform for multimodal integration of transport of goods of any sector. And that's one major area. We have sectoral logistics portals, but we don't have one which will encompass all, including the regulators. And our USP is the fact that the PGAs, that is the governmental agencies, would also be part of this portal, in the sense that you would have access to them, and that makes business much more easier than accessing a whole number of portals of different governmental agencies. Another one which, to give you an idea of the portal, simply stated, it's a platform of platforms. We have the base platform is one in which anybody can plug in. When I say anybody, it can mean any institution or any individual through an API. You could just imagine the action which is possible on the IT front on this score. Another thing which it is attempting to do, which will be our contribution to the platform, is that we have a platform sitting on it which has two towers. One tower is the governmental tower, which consists of all the PGAs, and the second tower is the service tower. The service tower is the one which is a business end of the portal, and this tower is just for starters. It's open for other institutions, other logistics institutions, to actually plug onto this portal at the base through APIs, which will be made public. So as you can see, it's a fully open platform. Instead of just making it on an open source software, we are also making the platform open for Indian businesses to plug in, and also ensuring that that people who want to do business in India are plugged through this portal via the APIs, which will be open to them as well. The second important thing which we are doing is doing a logistics tool. This logistics tool is a layered GPS-enabled and platform by which you can access various data. The importance of this platform is that it requires your cooperation. Unless and until the industry is willing to share data in an anonymized manner, collectively we will not be able to enjoy the benefits of this portal. To give you an example of what this logistics tool portal can do, take for example toll roads. You want to know the heat map in a particular stretch, it's possible to get it through this tool, but that requires several of us, particularly those who are the drivers, to be enabled to integrate via an app which will be part of the tool to organize the crowdsourcing information for all of us. Another interesting application, which is very simple but very important, is what's the rent-seeking behavior at various places. All what it requires is people just plugging in and letting us know so that we develop a heat map and then work on it. The important thing is it's not only accessible to us, it's accessible to you too. And this enables us, all of us, to take decisions collectively and cooperatively. The third aspect which we are working on is the logistics policy, about which you might be hearing a couple of weeks down the line. We have proposing to invite industry associations and their office bearers for this conference. The policy, the draft policy, has been prepared in consultation with all of you, but it has been done informally. We wanted to make it formalized through a conference convened to elicit your understanding of the final draft and how it could shape up with your comments. This is an important exercise which we expect to do in the next 2 weeks. Some of them, I also need to bring to your notice certain institutional arrangements which exist to address the logistics issues at the government level. At the apex level, at the formal apex level, we have the National Committee on Trade Facilitation, and that's headed by the Cabinet Secretary. The next meeting of this is scheduled to be on the 8th. That will be the 4th meeting of the NCTF. The NCTF is serviced on the ground by a steering committee. The steering committee is co-chaired by the Revenue Secretary and the Commerce Secretary. The last meeting was held some time back, and as soon as the NCTF meeting is held, the next meeting of the steering committee is also expected to carry the agenda forward. Now, another committee which we have is the Interministerial Committee. The Interministerial Committee for Logistics is headed by me. It has members from all governmental organizations, and that is the first point for contact on logistics related issues for all of you. I would be willing and anxious to work with you to address logistic related issues in the interministerial conference and make references to the NCTF should it be necessary. Apart from that, we have an ad hoc committee which addresses the top level, or what I would call the policy directions as far as trade facilitation is concerned, and that is headed by the Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister. It addresses very specific issues, and it is called as and when necessary. The next meeting of it is expected to be held tomorrow. This is the institutional arrangement which I thought would be very relevant to you as we proceed on this addressing logistic related issues in an institutional framework. After having given you this pen picture, I thought I'll address this issue of logistics for steel and minerals. I would only flag 4 issues for your considerations, and which will reflect new methods of doing business in this sector. The first thing which I would bring to you for your consideration is the matter of project design. We need to start there. Most of the time in India, project design is largely a line estimate or a line design, and approvals is sought on that basis. With the result, the implementation stage undergoes series of changes. The final project is sometimes quite different from what was envisaged in the line design. This occurs because most of the ground level issues are not thought out or not envisaged at the time of preparing line estimate. It's my suggestion that we need to move over from the issue of mere taking approvals on line design to going over to formal designs. At least about 80 to 90, at least the technical aspect of the design should be on our table, which addresses issues, particularly the environmental issues. I can give you one anecdotal evidence. One of the projects which we are considering has a 200 kilometers traverse through a forest, and the prescription is that about 22 meters of the forest need to be chopped out. I mean, while it may clear the line estimate, I don't think the project will ever see the light of the day. Just imagine in these days cutting 200 kilometers of forest 21 meters. It's just out of the window. And the purpose is for what? The purpose is for getting the machines to put the pipelines. Now, it's a one-time use, and knowing forests as we do, it's not that the trees are there with 1 meter distance. It is possible for us to engineer it better, and therefore the need for better design. Nowadays, better designs are required largely for the technical aspects of it is simpler, but aspects like sociological, avoiding certain sensitive areas, avoiding going on certain terrain or not going on certain terrain are matters which are particularly important in project designs. And they dictate, these factors generally dictate our alignment. So I thought it's such an important issue that I thought I'll flag it out for you. The second important thing is about project logistics. Invariably, we find that this aspect has not been addressed in our planning. Several projects involve movement of materials which are not provided for in our rules, which assumes that all are having standard consignments. So it's necessary to work on this, have provisions with states, and have single clearances by which this is facilitated. Project logistics is a particularly important area, because anecdotally I'm aware that at every, when you have an oversized cargo, you need to pay not an extra charge, but penalties at every level. And that's a matter of great concern. I mean, if you are going to be fined at every level, there is something wrong with the law rather than the person, because you are anyhow allowing the cargo to go through. And that requires certain aspects to be covered, at least by all of us in the logistics sector, and address the rules which talk about this, so that we make project logistics a simpler affair than what it is presently. Third is amazing gain in costs with certain technologies. And I'm referring to slurry pipelines for steel, for iron ore, for steel manufacture by transporting iron ore. But to the extent that we can reap cost savings of almost 70 to 80%. I'm not sure about the 80%, but I would go lower to be around 60 to 70. But that's big enough for us to attempt it in a seriously, and ensure that there are certain institutional bottlenecks which are there, which we address quickly. The most important thing in such endeavors is that it doesn't make sense, that it makes sense in volumes. And together we have industries which can make it, but not individually. Therefore, there is a method by which we need to learn to work in a cooperative manner, should it be possible, and have certain technological or technical solutions by which we could make it functional. Otherwise, we would be only counting the chickens but never making them hatch. And this is an area where I thought we are very serious in logistics to work on pipelines. But as I mentioned to you, there are certain aspects of project design which we need to address proactively. A key element of it will be to have our designs, technical designs up front, get ROW clearances, with which I'm fully on board with you, that these ROW clearances need to be made design-based, and that makes it essential for us to ensure that we have proper designs and an upfront statement of those designs. Lastly, but not the least, financing is critical for the infrastructure sector, particularly logistics. We have a Sagarmala Development Corporation, and that's a good move. That's a move in the right direction. But my particular concern is that logistics has a peculiar habit of being effective only when it is done in a large scale. For example, a single silo, a food grain silo, doesn't make much of an impact, but a silo-based program makes significant impact on the ground. And that makes it essential for us to fund logistics, not as a project, but as a program. And when we want to do this, this requires large amounts of money. And while we are through with the equity part of it, we are not too sure about the debt funds, which actually make the bulk of the financing requirements in the logistics sector. I hope that this aspect is also deliberated in these forums, so that we have some indicators of some roadmap which we can pursue in the near future. I would like to look at logistics related issues over a year program, over a 3-year program, and over a 5-year program. I believe that beyond 5 years, technologies and method of doing business could undergo significant changes for us to attempt major programs upfront at this stage. But going further, over a period of couple of years, when we mature in this sector, maybe we could look at things in a larger perspective of even up to 20 to 30 years. These were some 5 thoughts which I will leave with you, and I'll be here to listen to your views in this subject and carry it forward along with you. Thank you for your patient listening. I hope we would be collectively there together to make things happen in this sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sri N. Sivasailam, Special Secretary, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, sir, for those inspiring words. Thank you.